Hey guys, what's up? We are back with another video today, and today we are doing our Texas-Ohio State Cotton Bowl preview. So make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, like this video if you enjoy it, comment all your thoughts and opinions. You guys have been doing a fantastic job commenting on all these videos. Right now we have 101 comments on the Penn State Notre Dame video, and we had 64 on the Georgia Notre Dame video. So make sure that you let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I am sure some of you guys will be having opinions that are different than mine. So let me know. Let me know what your score prediction is down below. Just put it score Texas victor, Ohio State victor. So also make sure that you subscribe and hit the video down below and check out the Notre Dame and Penn State preview as the other half of the semifinals. So let's get into this. Ohio State, Texas. And man, it has been a journey for both of these teams. Obviously, both of these teams had to play 2 games to get to this point. Texas, on one hand, had possibly the easiest path to getting to the semifinals. It's either them or Penn State. But on one hand, I say that. On the other hand, I look at this Gamecast here, and we're looking at Arizona State versus Texas. Arizona State held the ball for 38 minutes. Texas, on the other hand, only 22 minutes. When we look at the Clemson game, that was about more even. It was 33 Texas, 27 Clemson. So when we're looking at this different, it's 2 very different, interesting routes. Arizona State, when they played them, they focused on the run game. Obviously, with Cam Skattebo at running back, and Clemson, on the other hand, focused on the pass game with Cade Klubnik. So it creates an interesting dilemma here when we're looking at these 2 teams. We're looking at a Texas team that defensively is supposedly fantastic, but in the last 2 games, they've given up 31 points and 24 points. That's not a good defense. Even regardless of overtime, they still gave up 24 points in each of these 2 games, regardless of the overtime. And to be honest, it should have been more with how Arizona State, like, you had a couple of goal line stops. Otherwise, both of these teams would have scored in the 30s in regular time. So this is not the vaunted Texas defense that we think it is. And obviously, we've seen the SEC fall short quite a few times. That's become an issue. I don't know whether that's a good talking point, though, because that's just not – I do not like it when you just say general statements when it comes to college. Like, the SEC sucks. Well, okay, maybe there's a lot of terrible teams in the SEC, but that doesn't mean anything about Texas. Don't put Texas in that. But at the same time, that doesn't mean Ohio State, hey, we've beaten 2 teams. We've looked fantastic. Like, they got out to a 34-0 lead against Oregon, with Oregon not even getting their first points until 3 seconds left in the half, or I should say, as time expired in the first half, or in the second half. Second quarter, first half. Like, Ohio State dominated that game. They had 500 yards, 0 turnovers. It was 50-50 time of possession-wise. But when it came down to it, this game was over before it began. Texas, on one hand, has probably the strongest defense, maybe second strongest. I think Penn State may have an argument, and I think that they probably are the better defense. But probably the second strongest defense they faced all year, possibly 10 State's better, maybe equal, about 50-50. And Ohio State's offense struggled. Obviously, this is a very different Ohio State team, as we've seen in the Tennessee game and as we saw in the Oregon game. But Oregon, their defense, we all know it is not a good defense. Boise State, they gave up 34. Ohio State, they gave up 37. This is not like an elite level defense here for Ohio State. We all know that and understand that. So when we're looking at this, you got to be able to put up a couple of points. One massive key to the game, Texas, you got to contain Jeremiah Smith. I know this sounds blatantly obvious, but look at what happened against Oregon. Dude was running wide open on one of the routes, just wide open. And because the safety either had to choose him or Mbuka. And it's not like choosing Mbuka or in that situation helped out, or choosing Smith would have helped out either. It's a bad scenario. You got to play better coverage. But that's where I think the difference is. Tennessee has a good defense. Don't get me wrong. And Ohio State lit them up beyond belief. But at the same time, I think Texas has something that Ohio State has not faced this year really at all. And that outside of the Oregon game, which is a good quarterback, a really good quarterback. Dylan Gabriel in that first game, he looked fantastic. He passed wonderfully. He was able to hit open wide receivers. He was able to hit Tez Johnson and his tight ends and stuff like that. But in the second game, it all fell apart. They looked terrific. I don't know why they were going after Caleb Downs, particularly like he was a weak spot. I don't think Caleb Downs is the weak spot by any means when it comes to this game. But I think 3 keys to victory when we're looking at the Ohio State Buckeyes. 1, you got to get the ball to Jeremiah Smith. He's just an electric playmaker. You got to find a way to get Jeremiah Smith. Number two, I think you got to find a way to control time of possession. Scam Scatterboot kind of started to wear down that Texas defense in the second half. And you also saw the other things throughout it. You have issues. You got to be able to fix it when it comes to that. And then third, no mistakes. You can't give the ball, give extra turnovers or things like that to Texas. And I don't think that I'm not saying that Ohio State has issues with that throughout the season, but don't have issues now. Don't give up a bunch of mistakes when it comes to that. When we're looking at the Texas side of things, when we're looking at Texas, the key number 1, you got to keep Quinn safe in the pocket. You got to keep Quinn safe in the pocket. You got to give him time to disperse the ball throughout all of his weapons and stuff like that. Number 2, you got to stop the passing game. You got to stop the passing game. Don't get me wrong. At the same time, Ohio State can run the ball, but it is a lot harder for Ohio State to get going when it comes to, I'm just going to throw wide open to Jeremiah Smith or Mbuka or stuff like that. You got to be able to stop the pass game. And number 3 for Texas, and I know this is kind of a bit obvious, you have to outcoach Ryanday. You got to get in his head. You got to get in his head, Sark. Because I think the one problem with Ryanday is that he's a bit emotional as a head coach. And there's a difference between the emotionalism of Marcus Freeman, and I get this. I'm a Notre Dame fan. But the Marcus Freeman where he is energetic, he is happy, and it doesn't really get in his head as much as Ryanday. You can tell a lot of things get into his head. You get mentally, I think Sark can outcoach Day here. So we'll see if he's able to do that. Because I think that if he's able to do that, that gives a big advantage to Steve Sarkisian in this game. At the end of the day, what I've seen from Ohio State, what I've seen from Texas throughout this playoff, I think it is going to be a lot closer of a game than a lot of people think, especially after watching 2 relatively close Texas games, which are the 2 closest games of pretty much this entire playoff, excluding points, because I think the Clemson game everybody understood was closer than the Notre Dame-Indiana game, which was a few less points. But when we're looking at this, I think that this game is going to be a little bit closer than people think. But I still think Ohio State comes away with the win. I think that it's going to be a relatively high-scoring game. I'm going to go 37-30. I think the Buckeyes get away with a win here in the Cotton Bowl. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Hit the 2 videos down below here and in the subscribe button up here. And as always, hope you have a great day. Bye, guys.